still say, this was their fighting element.
Join us as we discuss what is creative Merthyr and what it means to Merthyr.
You talk the talk, you know, we walk the walk. You talk the talk, you know, we walk the walk. Starting wars with fountain pens, blood on the streets is how it ends, but it don't matter, it seems.
Creative Merthyr is a project to try and bring all the arts together in a town into a project, identifying the key people, identifying a strategy, to leave a legacy for everybody, to get the town booming, to bring all different parts of the borough together, to enjoy our cultural experience.
I think as a local authority we recognise there's lots of talent within Merthyr, and obviously we've never really got to grips with how to engage with all those groups as a collective. So our vision on early discussions was to look at how we can engage with somebody that could look at putting together a strategy that all these groups would link into and look to working towards in the future. There's lots of things going on here, you know, and I just see the town growing. So in terms of looking at things differently is using the amenities it's got here already. You look at the Red House where we are today, you know, an amazing building. Is it used to its full potential? Maybe not. You've got Zoa then across the road, you've got the square, but you've also got community sectors as well and community organisations that can support that as well. So I just think it's looking at using what's in the town at the moment.
One of the things that really irritates me is the image that Merthyr has outside of Merthyr. If you're from Merthyr, you live in Merthyr, you know it's a fantastic place. And having something like Creative Merthyr in the town and being the kind of thing that people look to the town for, I think would give it a completely different image, and that would only be good. Not just for the image of the town, but actually for people that live in it, or to do with their well-being. It brings people in, it means we can boost the economy here. You know, all of that kind of stuff is just going to be great news. There's going to be people out there that are going to be a bit reluctant to come forward and say, I think I won't mind having a go at something, and actually just give it a go. And for people to come forward and say, give it a go, but it means that people like yourselves, people involved with Creative Merthyr, even the council, are really going to have to put the neck on the line and say, you know, if we really want to attract people here, if we really want to make this not just a creative hub for Merthyr, but I think a creative hub for the whole of the valleys. Because Merthyr really is seen as the capital of the valleys. And I'll tell you now, I mean, my colleagues in the Assembly get very jealous about the kind of investment that we get in Merthyr, the fact that, you know, there's so much here, there seems to be so much here, compared to some of the other valleys towns, and long may that continue. What we don't want is people just bypassing Merthyr to get to the Brecon Beacons. We've got to find things to draw them into the town. And there's so much history around this town. So we could draw people in with history, but if we could draw them in with things that would entertain them as well, like going to see a show, going to look at an art gallery, going to see a play, going to listen to some music, if all of that was here as well, with some good accommodation that we could put people up in, then I think we stand a fighting chance of making this not just, as I say, a creative hub for Merthyr, but for the whole of the valleys.
You know, when we talked about the negative perception of Merthyr, I think there's you can't put a price on pride and self-esteem. And I think when people are told that they come from an area that is run down and is deprived and all the rest of it, I think, you know, it doesn't take very long for that to sort of seep into your consciousness. So I think in order to challenge that and to try and go some way to reverse those sort of negative connotations, I think we've got to look at the positive elements and put those under the microscope in the same way we do with the negative elements.
I think it's a lot to do with the confidence of people locally. You know, like having taught, say, 20 years in Merthyr, a lot of it's to do with self-confidence, and people just don't believe they can do these things. And to see people locally creating really good art, I think, would boost people's confidence immensely. So I think it's a big factor psychologically, Also, I've got a really good mate who's suffered tremendously through depression, ended up homeless, and he comes along to the open mic, and he enjoys creating art and poetry, and I think that gives him such a vital part of his life to cope with. I know it sounds like therapy, but it is a way of coping with mental illness and situation you're in without a job. I think it is a bit of a cliche, but I think that creativity does come from adversity. And I taught in Merthyr for 20 years, and also in quite a posh school in Cardiff for 10 years. And for me, the kids in Merthyr, their creativity was so much greater because they could draw on this life experience.
I have no doubt that we will become the creative hub of the valleys. I think in terms of the regular events that are starting to occur, so Merthyr Rising being a prime example of that. I think the word is spreading, and I think you can tell that by the attendance at these events. So in terms of becoming the creative capital of the valleys, I think we're moving towards that at quite a pace. In terms of becoming the capital of the creative capital of Wales, I think we might have a bit of stiffer competition there, but I don't think there's anything wrong in aspiring to become that.